This is absurd. Rasmus Andersson is almost certainly on his way out of Calgary as he has been the main man in the mix of trade rumors this offseason. Some people think he should stay, but some of the reasons why are a little absurd. Let's get into it. But before we get into it, I do want to welcome you to Flames Digest. I'm Mark Griffith. If you're new around here and you love the Flames, make sure you subscribe so you can stay up to date on all the latest news, updates, reports, and rumors revolving around your Calgary Flames. We would love to welcome you to the Flames Digest family. And let's talk about if Razz should stay, which in some ways is kind of the absurd part of all of this, but more so for some of the reasons why. And yes, I love Rasmus Andersson. I'm going to say it right now. If it were up to me, for a good contract, would love to keep him around. I think his leadership, his desire to be here, his passion for not only the team, but the city as well, and just some of the mentorship he could have for some of the young defensemen in the organization, especially on that right side, it would be great to have him. But business-wise and maybe quote-unquote rebuild-wise, it might be better to trade him away, but there's still completely valid reasons for wanting to keep him around, but there's also maybe a bit of some absurd ones. And the reason I bring this up is from this article here, which does come from Clutch Point, so already people are going to be, raising their eyebrows a little bit, but it's a good article here, and it's by R.B. Hayek, and they write why Flames must not trade Rasmus Andersson in 2025 off-season, and this is must not. So, Rasmus Andersson is a core player on the Flames, and they absolutely must not trade him in the offseason if they wish to contend. I think the key word is wish to contend this season. But let's get in anyway. So the Calgary Flames barely missed the Stanley Cup playoffs in the 2024-25 season. Now they have choices to make, especially regarding one of their better defensemen. Rasmus Andersson is a core player on the Flames, and they absolutely must not trade him in the offseason if they wish to contend. And already, you can argue that. Honestly, you definitely can. But let's give the article a little bit of breath here. So Andersson had a decent season, finishing with 11 goals and 20 assists for the Flames. Overall, it was not a bad year for the defenseman, but there were a few things that went wrong, and they certainly did. Therefore, the trade rumors have sparked. And not only have they sparked, they are full ignited. It is an absolute tire fire right now. Much of that has to do with ailments. Andersson played on a broken leg for 11 games before finally sitting out in that last game there. Unfortunately, that probably derailed much of his stats, including his plus-minus, which was minus 38, which was absolutely terrible. And it's funny, I was recently hanging out with a couple of my friends. They're obviously big Flames fans as well. And they said, look, something's wrong with Rasmus Andersson. We all love Rasmus Andersson. We were saying that. But the Kevin Ball and Rasmus Andersson pairing that was so good at the beginning of the season looked terrible down the stretch, and maybe if they played a little bit better, we could have made the playoffs. But still, while Andersson has been rumored to join other teams, he does remain with the Flames as of right now, of course. Therefore, Calgary can still trade him if it can find a good deal. However, if the Flames want to return to the playoffs, they must keep him. And I'm starting to think that this article might not have been written by a quote-unquote Flames fan, but we'll still see, of course. Andersson is a defenseman on a top pairing. Ultimately, there is no doubt that he is one of their more productive players and has shown the potential to be explosive on both sides of the ice in the past. Andersson had 50 points back in 2021-22 and 49 in 2022-23. He also had 20 power play points in the 2022-23 season, yet the past two seasons have shown a regression, and that is the harsh truth of the situation. Andersson can still make plays on the ice and check forwards when he needs to. Additionally, he was a key component of the power play. When the power play would start, Andersson would begin on the point while also managing zone entries and distributing the puck. His job on the front was to set up Huberdeau and Kadri for one-timer opportunities. Overall, he mirrors MacKenzie Weegar on the power play and can set up points. And this is true. There are a lot of positives to Rasmus Andersson's game. That's why his trade value is still quite high. So trading him creates a lack of right-handed defensemen. And this here is the most absurd thing in this article for me, because already from that headline, I'm bound to kind of, disagree with it. But again, I care about your guys' opinions the most, so please feel free to share in the comments. But the Flames would be lacking a right-handed defenseman if they traded him. Again, I could argue that. Furthermore, it would give them a major hole in their defensive pairings. There are many issues with the Flames. However, Andersson is not among them. Calgary missed the playoffs because of a lack of offense, and it also affected Andersson's play, as he could not replicate some of the highs from the past. Again, I'm already ready to, debate this, and I'll actually stay on it. There's not a lack of right-handed defensemen for the Flames. I think, again, this was probably written by someone who cares about hockey, but maybe not the Flames particularly, and doesn't know what we have in our system, like Zane Parekh and Hunter Brustevich. Of course, there is not a lack of right-handed D-man in this organization. But the article finishes by saying the Flames must find a way to keep him while also adding or developing other right-handed defensemen around him. True. So far, Andersson has shown that he is too valuable to this team to trade away. While the Flames can ideally trade Andersson to try to upgrade at other positions, it would be too much of a liability on defense. And that, honestly, to me, is a little bit absurd. It just truly is. That is why this is the title of this video. I love Rasmus Andersson, would love to keep him around, but it just makes more sense for where the Flames are as an organization and business-wise to maybe trade him away, and his value probably will be higher now since he still has that full year on his contract. So trading him this offseason, I think, makes the most sense. It genuinely does at this point, and I don't think it hurts the Flames' chances of contending all that much, because contending is a big word. It depends what you mean. It could be contending for a playoff spot or contending for the cup. Rasmus Andersson's a great player, but based off the past couple seasons here, he's not going to put us over the top to win a Stanley Cup. So again, there's ways you can argue. There's other ways you can totally go with what the article said, but please feel free to let me know how you feel. And speaking of those right-handed defensemen, like I said, there's guys like Zane Parekh, and we have some accolades to talk about for a couple of our prized prospects from last year's unbelievable draft by Craig Conroy. So if we take a look here, Flames prospects Zane Parekh and Jacob Battaglia have been named to OHL All-Star teams. Fantastic news already right there. Great article here from Ryan Pike. So he writes, "Stop us if you've heard this before, but a pair of Calgary Flames prospects have been named to their league's year-end All-Star teams." Obviously, we had that happen in the QMJHL as well. On Friday, the OHL announced their All-Star and All-Rookie teams for the 2024-25 campaign. And this is a longer article, not going to go over all of it, but if you want to get fired up about our prospects, please feel free to go check it out. So Parekh of the Saginaw Spirit was named to the OHL's first All-Star team, along with Kitchener goaltender Jackson Parsons, London defenseman Sam Dickinson, who does look quite incredible, and forwards Michael Misa from Saginaw, Liam Greentree from Windsor, and Nick Lardis from Brantford. So absolutely fantastic to see. No surprise, though, with the stats Parekh put up and just the fantastic season he had, especially the second half of the season after getting that World Junior Championship Canadian team snub. He really turned it on, and as we saw, he has a goal per game in the NHL as well, so what a player he is. Battaglia of the Kingston Frontenacs was named to the OHL's third All-Star team, along with London goaltender Austin Elliott, defenseman Luca Morelli, and Ben Danford, both from the Oshawa Generals, and forwards Callum Ritchie and Beckett Seneke, also from Oshawa. Yeah, the third team is primarily Oshawa, other essentially than Battaglia, so great to see them both getting recognition they deserve after wonderful seasons after their draft year, which is honestly key. Some players really regress after their draft year. Our guys just seem to get better. A first-round pick by the Flames in 2024, 9th overall. Parekh was a first-team All-Star last season and first-team All-Rookie the season before that. That just shows how amazing he is. And then Battaglia, a second-round Flames selection in 2024, is an All-Star for the first time. So a huge congratulations to both of them. That is so fantastic. Both Parekh and Battaglia have signed their entry-level contract with the Flames as well, which is great. They're here to stay for at least a little bit longer. They're both 2006-born players who will be playing their 19-year-old seasons in 2025-26 and aren't eligible to play in the AHL next season. That said, the general set of expectations for next season are for Parekh to push to make the Flames NHL roster out of training camp. Would be shocked if he doesn't, especially if Rasmus Andersson isn't around, but we've seen crazier things happen in this organization. And for Battaglia to go back for his 19-year-old season in the OHL and be one of the best offensive producers in the league with Kingston. We definitely have our fingers crossed. But again, congratulations to those guys, and we're so happy to have them as part of the organization. Now let's wrap up this video with the comment of the day, as we love to do here on the channel. Comes from yesterday's video, of course, about even more Rasmus Andersson trade rumors. That one more so looking at some trade partners. But Randy here said, "I would honestly love to see us make a move for Byram. It makes sense for both teams, and he fits our timeline as well." Now, that was obviously one of the trade partners we went over in yesterday's video, the Buffalo Sabres. And Byram, it makes sense. He's definitely in the mix of trade rumors as well. Byram would be someone we need more. He's a left-handed defenseman and a little bit younger, of course. Rasmus Andersson makes sense for Buffalo. So trade involving those two really could make sense. Will it happen? The chances are quite low, but you never know. It might just come to fruition. Thank you so much for watching this video. Please subscribe to what you saw here today and have a wonderful rest of your day.